Okay, so speaking of which, let's talk about the NCAA tournament. Let's go right into it. The tournament had Selection Sunday, did hit us on this past Sunday, and so now we have all the teams. Now, the NCAA tournament is going to be done different this year. Number one, they're going to be playing every game in Indianapolis.
Okay.
So that's where all the teams will be housed. It's going to be a tournament there, and they're going to make the magic happen out of that. Basically, their own bubble, a bubble for people that aren't getting paid. Nice. So we have the tournament going, and these are who we're looking at as far as our number one seeds. I feel like this is the most important piece. Is the overall number one seed is Gonzaga. Then we have Baylor, Michigan, and Illinois. I'll give you the number twos as well. Houston, Alabama, Ohio State, and Iowa. So, Jimmy, did you watch any college basketball this year?
Nope.
You sound exactly like me, and I'm going to say this. Felt kind of weird about watching. I mean, I watched college football, still felt weird about that, but they decided to play the game in a pandemic with kids, like I said, aren't getting paid. But I'll get off that soapbox, even though it's a hill that I will die on, so don't get it twisted. I will die on paying these players as the free market should allow it. So it's really weird as now I'm making my bracket. Now, this is the funny part. I ain't watched any college basketball this year. Now, I've tuned in here and there in some games. I watched a little bit of Cade Cunningham because he's going to be the number one draft pick. I watched a little bit of Jalen Suggs from Gonzaga, oh, my God. This is not Gonzaga of years past. Which brings me to the point of disappointment about Gonzaga, as I will steal this from Katie Nolan, as she made the very great point, is that I typically pick Gonzaga to go a little deeper in the playoffs than most people in the tourney, and that's usually what helps my bracket. Now, everyone's on Gonzaga. I don't have that option anymore. Everyone's going to pick Gonzaga to win the national championship because they are that good, and Jalen Suggs will be a top 3 pick in the draft. So now I have to find another team to not only push deep into the playoffs, but I got to figure out where exactly is Gonzaga going to get upset so that my bracket looks better. It don't look good. Ain't nowhere in here that looks good for them to get upset. I mean, really, the only place for them to get upset, it looks like to me, is the Sweet 16. So if you're listening to this for some advice as far as selections, I'm going to tell you Virginia will knock off Gonzaga in the Sweet 16 this year. Is it going to happen? Hell, I don't know. I ain't watching either one of the two play this year, but for the most part. But at the same time, we still got to find some sort of a good upset. So, Jimmy, do you have a single upset in your mind for this tournament? Where do you think Gonzaga's going to go? Let's just say that.
If I am to believe much of what I'm hearing about how good this Gonzaga team is, I think that this would actually be the year that they do finally go all the way, or at least have they made a championship game before?
Yes, they played, 2 years ago?
That was 2 years ago?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it was 2 years ago. They played the national championship.
I think, because let's look at it this way. And actually, I just got a little bit excited about this because it is in the bubble in that format. And there was something to me that was magical about the NBA bubble. It was because, it had that sort of like that tournament, the AAU tournament feel to it, but it was like basketball was the only focus. It was just pure basketball. So I think that as exciting as the NCAA tournament is every year, and the fans are a big part of that, I think that this can be, for all the people who didn't watch college basketball this year, this can be, in a way, though it's at the end of the season, an introduction to these teams and these players. So I think that there's some excitement, there's some intrigue in that, there's a novelty to it. So in that sense, I was going to watch it anyway, but I'm really going to be paying a lot more attention to it now for that reason, that hopefully some of the bubble magic of the NBA and what made it magical can do the exact same thing for this bubble. As far as an upset.
Before you go there, my apologies. Let me retract what I last stated. Yeah. They were in the championship game in 2017. They lost to North Carolina that year. So Gonzaga, it was Elite 8 last year. That's 2 years ago because they didn't have a preseason last year because we weren't in Vegas last year. Right. So outside of that, that's exactly where they ended up. So they are consistently Elite 8, Sweet 16-ish range every single year.
If I'm going to pick an upset, I'm going to pick Baylor to be upset. Ooh. Because amongst these three teams, now this is interesting. We know Gonzaga is a basketball school.
Yep.
We know Illinois, they have seemed more like a basketball school, or they've been more successful to me at basketball
they always
than they have been in football, even though their football team's still pretty good. Michigan is kind of neck and neck. Ultimately, it's a football school, But because of the Fab Five and the feel of the program ever since then, especially bringing back Juwan Howard as the head coach, I think that there have been times where they're just as much of a basketball school as a football school. As a matter of fact, there are times when that basketball program is really, really good. So they're never too far away. As far as Baylor, they have generally become more of a football school in the last 10 to 15 years. So it's almost like they're new to the party. So for that reason, I would say, especially since they lost, I don't know if these other teams won their conference championship game. I just know Baylor didn't because Texas did. So for that reason, I would pick Baylor as my upset. So when I do my bracket, they're going to be the ones to get upset probably pretty early in the tournament. So that'd be my pick. What would be your pick?
So upset-wise, I think Illinois is going to be the one that's going to end up being upset. And I think they're going to get upset. I'm doing this as a homer pick, 100% homer pick. I think Sweet 16, Illinois gets knocked off by Tennessee. Tennessee has had a very strong year overall. It's been, up and down, but for the most part, they're a team that's I've watched some Tennessee games. Now, that's something I have taken time to do is watch my Vols play because at one point they were top 5 ranked for a bit. So I'm sold on my Vols doing something in the tourney. So that is one to keep an eye on is them in the Midwest bracket against Illinois. I can see them going a little bit further. The only problem that Tennessee is going to have is that they may match up with Oklahoma State, which might knock Tennessee off and Illinois. If there's any side that I feel like has the most upsets, that's them because Cade Cunningham, when it comes to the tournament, it's all about the best player. And I think he is the best player in the country. And because of that, he may be able to do just enough, which we've seen in basketball. Sometimes there is enough. One player can do just enough to get you over the hump against everybody else.
I remember, and the example I always go to for this is Dwayne Wade, how he was, and Steph Curry to some degree, how they were relative unknowns going into the tournament and then just blew everyone away and converted that into being a top 5 pick. So, we know Cade Cunningham. We know how good he is and how good he could potentially be. You mentioned Jalen Suggs for Gonzaga, right? Do you know of a player who could be that Steph Curry or that Dwayne Wade, especially under these circumstances where you don't have the pressure of the crowd around you to emerge to just tear up the tournament, whether their team wins a championship or not, and become a top 5 pick in the NBA? Is there anyone like that who I should be looking out for, who I should pay attention to?
That's the thing. Because I haven't watched enough of it, I don't know. Or
is there a school, a sleeper, that might make their way through the tournament?
I've been hearing about the Bonnies, St. Bonaventure, as well as Inola. Guess who their coach is?
Bruce Pearl.
Nope.
Who?
Rick Pitino.
That's right. Yeah,
he took them to the tourney this year.
That's right. He did.
Now, Inola's known for going to the tourney. I mean, they've gone to the tourney the last 4 straight years.
You said Inola?
Yeah. Iona. I'm sorry, Iona. Iona, not Inola. Iona.
I know Inola.
Not Iona. Gosh, pronunciation. Very terrible with names. But no, they are the Gals. They are in the tournament. Again, and Rick Pitino, he has made his valiant return after a few years in Greece and just randomly disappearing. He grinded his way now into the tournament, which is quite interesting that he will be back into the light. And someone's going to take a chance with him. I'm curious to who. Even funnier behind that is that his former team, Louisville, is not in the tournament. They joined Duke and Kentucky, who did not make the tournament.
Right.
This is the first time since like the 60s or 70s or something like that. I think it's actually 74 that these two teams did not make the tournament. Now, I think like a year or two after that, they met in the national championship. Based upon history, I have to go do some more Googling on that. But it's fascinating to see that some of our blue bloods that we are used to, with North Carolina being an 8 seed, looking bad, Kansas being a 5 seed. It's wild seeing teams, or 3 seed, I'm sorry, Kansas is a 3 seed, seeing some of the powerhouses on the court not be 1s and 2s. They're actually a lot lower. So, interesting year, but I'll look into the draft, see if there's anybody that's worth us paying attention to. And I may talk about a little bit of that on the solo later this week. But, yeah, so outside of that, make sure you check out our merch. You can see the video. Got a shirt, Unfair Sports, expensive approach to the sports conversation. Got to build the brand. Build the brand with us by checking out our socials. You'll see a link on our Insta as well as our Facebook page, and it will be on the Twitter.